The Soul Chaperone, written by Jason M. Burns. Narrated by Jason M. Burns. Season 1, A Tough Nut to Crack. Episode 18, Ultimatum. When I first met Samuel, he was a dog who bestowed upon me a great and annoying responsibility. Now he's a man pretending to be an entirely different dog, one who could quite literally be leading me to my death. Life is weird, especially mine. Samuel nudges me from behind with his weirdly wet nose, forcing me up the winding staircase I plunged down head first just 24 hours before. I feel like a dead man walking, arriving at the gas chamber for a scheduled execution. In my situation, there is no governor, however, which means there is no hope for an 11th hour stay. My only clemency will come from Samuel, a 150-year-old man who I have absolutely no reason to trust whatsoever. Maybe that's why my heart is racing as fast as it is. We reach the planetarium. The air is crisp and controlled like a museum. A pair of purple candles float in a carved wooden bowl on the surface of what was once Mary Todd Lincoln's table. I look up at the domed ceiling, hoping to escape my dread in the absolute infiniteness of a false universe. A blood-red sky that expands upon my anxiety tenfold greets me. I'm not going to make it out of this mansion alive. "Welcome back, Mr. Green," greets the ghostly voice from inside the phonograph. "I don't feel very welcomed," I say as Samuel pretends to chase the tail he does not have. In fact, I feel whatever the opposite is. "I'm sorry to hear that, though I certainly understand your point of view," the machine replies. "Many abhorrent acts have been committed in this very room." I don't know if it's from fear or the controlled climate conditions of the room, but my mouth goes dry. That is not all that comforting. "No, I do not suppose it would be," the voice states without any emotion whatsoever. I wander the room, inspecting the many artifacts on display. There's a ball-peen hammer embedded in a human skull. The placard next to it reads Excalibur II. Nearby, there's a piece of petrified wood encased in glass. A series of handprints, each with only 3 fingers, have been singed into the surface of the wood. The prints look downright demonic, and yet I find them far less frightening than what I see next. A 2-foot-tall roller-skating monkey toy that looks to have skated right out of a 1970s horror movie. I don't know why it's in this collection of supernatural curiosities, and I don't want to know. As Samuel sniffs around the room reconnecting with his canine calling, I move down the line and stop at a strange plastic door that looks to have been plucked from the hinges of a toddler's outdoor playhouse. It buzzes like a boisterous hornet's nest. I run my hand over it and feel the vibrations. "It's one of yours," the ghostly voice informs. "Well, not you specifically, but the door's origin stems from one like you." "A soul chaperone?" I ask. The phonograph doesn't respond. I turn to look at it. "Oh," it finally says. I nodded, but now I realize you are unable to see the gesture. I look back at the door, wondering how something I manifest out of nothing can be made into a tangible something. But that's not possible. Most would say the same of a haunted gramophone. Touché. I do feel obligated to mention, however, your ruse with the man inside the man will not work on Miss Brown. Samuel instantly stops sniffing the corner of the cabinets. His head snaps in the direction of the antiquated record player. "Souls have their own frequency, you see," the ghostly voice continues. "Each is unique. Miss Brown's trained ears are skilled at deciphering one from another. She would most certainly recognize a man's frequency from that of a dog's, and almost immediately, I would so imagine." I scowl at Samuel. "I thought you knew everything about this shit." The doggy disguise Samuel is pantomiming falls away. Just because I know more than you doesn't mean I know everything. My shoulders slump. My head sinks. My sphincter sphinx. I'm dead. "I can disguise the frequency," the chatty phonograph offers. "It will not fool Miss Brown for long, but I am able to create a veil of white noise that will mask it until you are able to mentally draft a retreat. Should that be your ultimate goal here today?" I walk over to the phonograph and stare into the depths of its sound horn. "Why would you help us?" I hadn't noticed it before, but the hand crank turns ever so slowly when the ghostly voice emerges from the phonograph. Because I must do my part in allowing no harm to come to you if we are to ultimately defeat the old man. My jaw drops. My knees wobble. My sphincter unsphinx. It wasn't a dream. The doors to the planetarium burst open and in struts Violet, moving with the calculated precision of a predator. She wears a purple jumpsuit with flared legs that flap like bat wings, propelling her forward. The blood-red sky drains away as she walks beneath it, dissolving into a bluish purple that could best be described as her namesake. As it spreads across the ceiling, overtaking what was a doomsday dawn, the room is cast in a dreary dusk that offers little in the way of a promise for tomorrow. My mind tries to process what the phantom in the phonograph revealed, but there is no immediate resolution other than absolute confusion. It has to be a trick. There was no dream. It's all a part of Violet's manufactured nightmare, one that she is using to systematically destroy me from within. "Welcome back to my home," she says politely enough. "I hope you don't mind, but I took it upon myself to set your fracture and accelerate your healing. Some people are picky about who they have rooting around inside their meat suit, but I figured it would make our appointment more pleasant if you weren't bleeding out the entire time." I don't respond. With everything swirling around inside my brain like a destructive tornado, I am having serious difficulty thinking clearly. My focus is all over the place. Too many thoughts and outcomes are whizzing about. Samuel is back to pretending to be a dog navigating the world as a human. He greets Violet by bumping his forehead into hers, which I recognize as some serious method acting. This warms Violet, but the emotional ignition is short-lived. She studies Samuel, unsure of something. "Is everything copacetic, Miss Brown?" the ghostly voice asks calmly through the phonograph. She smiles and scratches Samuel beneath his chin. "My senses deceived me. It must be due to the stress caused by our new friend here." Violet waves her hand in the air. The cursed chair slides across the planetarium floor and comes to a stop directly behind me. "Please, make yourself comfortable," she says, motioning for me to have a seat. I nervously side-eye the cursed chair and hobble away from it. "I prefer to stand." "Nonsense," Violet exclaims, waving her hand around once again. The chair thrusts forward, scooping me up and forcing me to sit on it. "In your condition, rest is not only recommended, it is necessary." Well, I guess if Danny is to be believed, my fate is pretty much sealed. Stick a fork in me because within the next 24 hours, I'll be done. At least I'll be able to see Anna again. Violet walks over to me, circling around the chair like a game of predatory pocket full of posies. "I figured you would be a thorn in my side, a speed bump. Someone insignificant doing something inconsequential. It does seem like your brand after all, but to my most pleasant of surprises, you are so much more." I relax in the chair. With my envelope already licked, I might as well enjoy what little time I have left on the Pony Express. That pretty much sums up my life, setting the bar so low that I blow away expectations. This causes Violet to chuckle. "Yes, horse rattleshack, you did your part in establishing some very low bar expectations. Quite the elaborate bit of deception. So well orchestrated." She pauses. "Now I am curious of one thing." "Boxers, actually," I say like a smart-ass preteen. "Briefs are too restrictive. The horse needs to run free." This time there is no chuckle. She glances at Samuel, squinting at him before returning her attention to me. "How did you get into my soiree in the first place? I certainly didn't invite you." I consider throwing Samuel under the bus, especially with my last sole chaperone checked all but cashed, but I'm not that cruel. The invitation just showed up in my mailbox. That's actually not a lie. Violet turns her back to me. She steps up to the table and removes something from the pocket of her jumpsuit. I can't make out what she is fidgeting with, but whatever it is small. "I know who you are," she says, "but more importantly, I know what you are. That means I know who you associate with." This comes off as a threat. It's a pity, too, because I was rather fond of the fortune teller. Furious, I try to stand, but the chair, or the curse that courses through it, holds me in place. Madame Bakita had nothing to do with me crashing your party. She was just as miffed about me showing up as you were. Violet remains at the table, her back facing me. "Perhaps. It doesn't matter, though. I'll be leaving soon enough, so whatever bridges I burn in this backwoods town can burn all the way to the ground as far as I'm concerned." You don't scare me, I say, though I realize that is not the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Well, you did, but not anymore. I've accepted what's coming, so why don't you strap a muzzle on that mouth of yours and just kill me already? Violet starts laughing, which takes me by surprise. Her laugh is shrill yet greedy, like a smug socialite humoring her guests at an afternoon garden party. She turns around to face me, and I recognize the object in her hands, my wedding band. Darling, I have no intention of killing you, Violet tells me, reveling in the slow burn of my future demise. The chair will handle that for me in due time. My eyes fix on the ring, fearing the worst. Then why am I here? Violet places my wedding band in the center of the table. She plucks one of the floating candles from the bowl and pours a circle of melted wax around the ring. You're going to tell me what I want to know, or watch as your dear wife's summoned soul is devoured by my spigoi. Thank you for listening. For more information, visit thesoulchaperone.com.